Hello everybody, I'm Danrvdtree20002, also known as Dan2 times 15 on Xbox Live, and once again I got, inside the actor studio. No, I'm just kidding. It's two P's in a podcast, and I am with my friend from work, Mr. Scott Merrington. How are you doing today, Scott? You doing great?
Good, thank you, Daniel. Yeah, for having me.
And today, well, this is no joke. We are going to be talking about the one thing that we always have in common, like we have on this podcast, and that is comedy. It is a big piece of art to look out for it, comedy. And Scott, yourself, you have done stand up yourself,
I have, yes.
as well as sitting down, of course.
Yeah, I did actually sit down on stage a few times. But it's better to stand up, I think. There are some comedians at a stall or whatever. I'm a kind of wandering down the stage sort of person.
So I can ask you this: how old were you when you first started getting into comedy and stand up?
2009, what's that? 12 years ago, I would have been 33 years of age.
Oh, that's impressive. So I'm basically 32 now, so basically 1 year older than I am now. So
not too late, then.
It's not too late.
Yeah.
I can do a little bit of stand up.
That's one of the nice things about comedy is you don't have to be young or be old. I mean, most people get into it when they're younger, but
yeah. So there's a lot of preparation going into your material. You look at the jokes and think, "Oh, is this going to be funny? Is this going to work?"
There's a lot of editing, so you really want to take out unnecessary words so you can really get to where you're going as quickly as possible. Sometimes if there's too many words, people get lost and they lose their concentration. So maybe you try it out once or twice on the stage, and it's kind of working, but not quite. But yeah, you then need to come back, make some changes, or make some notes after you come off stage. If you ever go to a comedy gig, look at the back of the room, and you'll see all these people with notepads scribbling away, and that's the strange breed that are comedians. Lots of preparation, and also the thing is, you don't know if it's going to work until you're on stage. You cannot practice it. You practice it in the mirror. You don't know if anyone's going to laugh until you actually say it out loud. So I don't think there's anything like it where you actually have to practice it live. So as much prep as you can, but really being on stage is also part of the preparation for the next gig. So maybe what you learn from that one, take to the next one with you. But other than that, you can't really do that much preparation.
So if there was anyone watching that wanted to be a stand-up comedian, what would the process? What would you want to do? First things first.
To actually start writing jokes, or
yes. So, for example, what's your go-to joke? What's your first go-to joke when you're on stage?
It's been a while since I was on stage, and there's not really jokes as in set up punchline. Like they're not like jokes like you tell your friend at work. So it doesn't really work off the stage. Just generally would follow the rule of three. So set up line, a set up line, and then the punchline. For some reason, humans respond to things threes. Not quite sure why, but you start to learn a little bit of psychology as well, like because you're trying to make somebody have an involuntary action. So you start to learn the psychology of crowd, what you can do to push them. If you want to try stand up, first thing you do is book some stage time, and that's not so easy to do around here. It's very easy to do in London because there are hundreds of open mic nights. And really find their websites, find them on Facebook, write them a nice polite email, and they will give you 5 minutes. 5 minutes standard starting point. Most places, once you start to prove yourself a little bit, and obviously you've got enough material, maybe you start getting a 10-minute start, 15 minutes. It's all very, very gradual. Of course, promoters, they don't want to pay you, so they want to keep you feeling like you're not worth being paid for as long as possible, so they can get free entertainers. You can just walk into open mics and maybe someone doesn't turn up, get their spot, but it's generally better to email and make sure you've got that spot, because promoters also, they like to make sure they've got enough acts rather than just leaving it open for whoever turns up. Maybe one person turns up, they want to make sure they've got whatever 10 acts, the number there are. But yeah, so I would say, can you be any good? That's the whole point. It's an open mic, comedy night, and everyone knows that that's where you come in to learn what you're doing. They're not expecting you to come already like, hey, amazing. So for an audience member going to watch those nights, it can be very up and down. This guy's good, and the next guy's terrible. The other guy so nervous he can barely speak. That guy's possibly needs to come see a doctor. You know, it's
not the stereotypical doctor that us that you tell when you tell your mates. For example, one of my favourite jokes that one of my mates told me is the following joke. Hey, once was a time I went to the doctors because I had a cricket ball stuck up my house, and the doctors said, "How's that?" I said, "Don't you fricking start."
Yeah, that will eventually not work. I suppose, because how's that? Probably somebody's catchphrase.
Most likely.
Yeah, and then as time goes on, people forget who that is. But there are some jokes at the time that
yes, you got all the classic jokes.
like the fart.
Yes.
Possibly one of the first jokes ever. Because my theory is that at first I couldn't decide whether it was someone falling over or fart. I imagine we was farting before we could stand on 2 legs. Probably the first thing that human beings ever laughed at.
Yes.
That's my guess anyway.
Or being caught on.
And then once we could walk, there was someone falling over. That's always funny.
Yes, you ever do that thing where you see somebody stub their toe on like a coffee table or something? We've seen it lots of times at work, and then for some reason you do that or that little chuckle, like you just laugh at somebody else's pain. It's like a weird reaction. It's like instead of asking, "Oh, are you okay?" when you do that snicker, in a minute you do it. You guys at home, you've always seen someone bang their elbow or whatever. It's that joy of pain that makes people go for some reason. It's a weird reaction, if you ask me.
Yeah, it's a bit cruel. It's a natural reaction, isn't it? Because you do it without helping. There's nothing funnier than trying not to laugh in situations because then it's very different.
Especially when you get people reacting so many different ways. They might actually just talk back at in him and objectifying and going something like, "Why you son of a," or something like that.
Yeah, I've sworn many times at different bits of furniture and stuff around the house.
And then probably looking thinking, "What did I do?"
Yeah, they'll get me back one day. Yeah, that's yeah, I wonder what the psychological sort of thing is behind that laughing out of pain. One of the oldest jokes I know, and I remember telling, I did get a very good reaction, so I got thrown out of class for it. The girl I told actually wet herself laughing, and for some reason they got thrown out of class. We're only talking maybe 6, 7 years of age. That was a doctor joke. I can't get to sleep on the edge of the bed, may drop. it's terrible. But obviously, she found it very funny. That's the first joke I can ever remember telling. But I've always made jokes at work.
Oh yes.
So, like,
Yeah, oh yeah, I know this.
You know, for a very small audience, of course. So that, but then obviously when I started to do it for bigger audiences, then I had to make subjects more universal. Obviously at work, I can make jokes about work. If I go to an audience, make a joke about so and so in banqueting, no one knows who that is, so then no one's going to laugh. So you have to sort of broader the subjects you're talking about.
Yeah, I noticed that on a lot of comedy specials where they pick real life scenarios where it's actually the truth. What the majority of the time is actually the truth. You think to yourself when you, for example, Lee Evans tells a lot of those truthful jokes where he'll tell you in ways and you think, ha, you laugh at it because it's true.
Yeah, I think. I mean, it may be it's changed a little bit or whatever, or the way he tells it. But yeah, I mean, you can't get funnier than real life. But you know, it's what a lot of comedians, they look at real life and they see funniness in it, and that's what they extract. People, especially people like Ricky Gervais and his TV series, they're always looking at the funny side of life, even though it might be a sad occasion or whatever. There's always humour to be found in that. That's something I always is. It's a good thing to. It's a good way to deal with something, like
Yeah,
laughing at it, when the chips are down. You know,
as the
it's
saying
always good
goes,
to have a good
laughter
laugh.
is always the best medicine.
That's true.
Tastes horrible, but you know.
Yeah, it does, and it doesn't cure everything,
No,
unfortunately.
unfortunately. Yeah, then we couldn't exactly be on the deathbed and tell a knock knock joke.
No, you could send someone off with a smile that way, I suppose.
Yes.
Yeah, they'll be leaping back to their feet. They might go off now.
Yes.
Not a bad way to go.
Yeah, and speaking of, might as well go on from, like you said, the Ricky Gervais and comedy. I love a good comedy slash whatever film or TV show. Is there any comedy related TV shows that or films that you enjoyed when you was growing up? Perhaps.
Oh yeah, many. Most of them American, if I remember rightly. I think. Well, this is not American. This is very English. I think the first comedy I can remember was The Young One. It used to be on BBC Two. That's the late 80s. I wasn't actually allowed to watch it. My father deemed it unsuitable. But of course, it just makes you want to watch it even more.
Yeah.
You know, it's toilet humor and lots of car jokes and stuff like that. And then American wise, always watch Cheers, Friday night, Channel 4, and later on in life, I started watching Frasier.
Oh, I love Frasier.
I still do sometimes. It's still on.
Yeah, it's still.
It's just been on Channel 4 constantly.
Yeah, constantly.
Like,
Another one that I
30 years or something.
constantly watched when on Channel 4, maybe not necessarily growing up on it, but before I would go out to college or before I went out to school, was Everybody Loves Raymond.
Oh yeah.
That was a great film. Raymond Mondo. It's very well done.
He's a very good stand-up comedian. Unfortunately, because he's before everyone had cameras, there's not loads and loads of film doing stand-up, but very good stand-up comedian. Yeah, that's the two they play now on Channel 4 is Frasier and Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yes.
Guaranteed. I've not seen it for a while though.
Yeah, the one thing about those two is that you can probably do that count thing. What I always know, alive, dead, alive, dead, alive, dead. I always, whenever I look back at old TV programs, I think to myself, man.
Raymond is alive.
Yeah, Raymond.
Frasier is alive. Something Kelsey, isn't it?
Yes.
He was in the.
I
I want to say Avengers, but one of the Avengers.
He does the
X-Men. One of
X-Men.
the X-Men, wasn't
Yeah, and he also voices Sideshow Bob from The Simpsons. Kelsey Grammer. That's
he? I didn't realise it was Sideshow Bob.
Oh yes, I know that. I'm a big Simpsons nerd. Currently on Disney Plus. It's a lot of good sitcoms that come to mind, especially now with the modern ones. Like, well, speaking of the word modern, there's Modern Family. There's The Big Bang Theory, How I Met Your Mother. All those American sitcoms. They're okay. They're not as great as some of the British sitcoms, such as, well, that's one of my dad's favourites, Only Fools and Horses. It's a classic.
Yeah, I mean, that was on when I was growing up. It's not one of my favourites, but I do like it. Two Ronnies.
Yeah, I am, yes. Ronnie Barker and I've forgotten the other one. Name Ronnie Barker and Ron Corbett, yeah.
He's in that program called Story, that I was telling you about the other day.
No need to apologise.
Oh, that's a good one. Carry On Films, it's called.
Yes.
Yeah, so that kind of naughty, making sort of sexual innuendos.
I do that all the time.
Yeah, that's. I mean, you can pretty much say whatever you want on TV as long as you don't actually say it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you just make an innuendo, and that is was British comedy for years. I mean, it's made a move away from that now.
Yes.
Yeah, so quite basic humour, really. Everywhere I've gone, other people just say they love.
Oh yeah, our humour is very unique. That's what I can say about that. Very unique. We can make the most dodgiest, the riskiest of jokes, which I'm not going to say in front of the camera, but I'll tell you later on when we're off camera. It's a very risky joke, but there's a lot of that's the one thing when you're telling your friends jokes is I always own up to. I say, I've got a really risky joke for you, and due to the fact that it's modern times, I always go, do you want to hear it? That way, if they say yeah, that means if they do find it offensive afterwards, I'll be like, I warned you. I gave you that warning. I gave you the opportunity to say no. I mean,
it's. I haven't done comedy now for 5 years, and I don't know what it's like in comedy clubs anymore. I get certain impressions from what I hear on TV and that. See the politically correct police go out and kind of shut people down, and I think as long as you have something intelligent to say, then you should be able to talk about any subject, whether you're in that group or not in that group. Your opinion is valid, as long as you're not just completely making fun of someone and being cruel.
Yes.
Well, then, I think some people need reminding that they're in a comedy show.
Yeah.
And the guy is making jokes.
Yes, so he's not being serious.
No.
Like,
different if he was a teacher talking to your children.
Yeah.
That's something else. Yeah, it's I imagine it's probably a bit restricted than that. But then if you're always worried about say this, can I say that, you're not really gonna get into what you're doing too tense. And then if you're tense, you'll get into tense. That's one thing I learned in stand up. Is they can feel how you. So if you're nervous, it makes them nervous.
Yes.
So you just have to pretend that you're Mr. Confidence.
Yes.
And I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And then they relax and they go, oh, he knows what he's doing.
I mean, on these fair share of these Netflix specials or whether they're just on British TV is especially where Jimmy Carr, he does this section where he gives the audience a chance to heckle him, and he's really good with hecklers and stuff. So my question is to you, Scott: have you had your fair share of hecklers in your time, and how did you deal with them?
I had a few. Depends how they're heckling. If they're just being disruptive, then you just want to shut them up as quickly as possible so you can get on with what you're doing. A lot of the time, though, people just want to join in,
Yes.
and that can be really good because then you don't know what you're doing, so you sort of go off script, and that can be good. You can get an extra couple of minutes material just talking to this guy in the audience. To be able to do that takes a little bit of experience, but can be a really good thing when it goes well, and that person, as I say, isn't just trying to be an idiot, but okay, they've been a little bit of an idiot, they're shouting out on a live show, but then you can have some backwards and forwards, and that's really good. As I say, it turns into something new. You can never use it again. It just happened in that moment, and it won't happen again. I used to like that. If someone's just being disruptive, this will come back with like a hard Jimmy Carr style put down. I hope that shuts them up, or their mates realise he's a bit drunk, we should get him out here. Or you can have, depending on where you are, have security escort them out if they get that disruptive, which I have seen happen at my friend's gig. And this person was just not going to be quiet, so they had to be escorted out because you ruin it for everybody else.
Yeah, that's one thing you don't want to do is ruining the night for everybody else. It's like everyone else is like, yeah, get him help. No.
Yeah,
Yeah,
generally as well. If someone's being an idiot, the rest of the audience are on your side. So, and then they slowly realise that they either shut up and leave.
Yeah, classic little remark is from an audience member. The old classic, when does the comedy start?
Yeah, I mean, come on, think of something original. But, of course, not everyone finds the same thing funny, which is fair enough. If you don't like it, be quiet, there'll be another guy on in 5 minutes, especially an open mic, because there's only 5 minutes slot. Don't like that guy, don't worry. Another one, there's another 9 behind coming on after him.
Yeah.
You'll find someone you like. Or leave.
Yeah.
Don't keep shouting out and being stuff. Yeah, no, if someone is doing that, then quick put down or kind of ask the audience to get rid of him, and then if everyone sort of pipes up, then they feel, oh, okay, I'm being an idiot. I'll be quiet. That's the best way. But also, don't give them too much, sort of not stage time, but
Attention.
Yeah, because then I get carried away. It's difficult. You got to judge each case.
Yes, because they could always pull a certain card out there with back pocket, depending on where they're from, and they might just, even if they're the same as us, it's like they might just pull out a certain card and go, "Hey, you're picking on me, but you was the one that shouted out." It's
Yeah. I've had friends who've had people throw stuff at them and that on stage. There's normally drunk people that misunderstood or they weren't listening to the first place. But that's a shame and kind of kills the mood in a comedy club. People start throwing glasses. Not really what it's all about.
no.
But yeah, it's tricky. I suppose it's the same as how do you deal with someone when someone heckles you in life? Either ignore them or quickly shut.
Yeah, a lot of the time when people try and heckle me, if is the right word, or a lot of people use the word troll these days.
Yeah.
I personally, during the time, I go along with them because it's quite strange watching their brain tick and go, but I just said this about you, and I'm like, therefore if I go along with them.
Take all the power away. It's like, you ever seen 8 Mile without him?
I have not.
Okay, so he's in a rap battle and he says all the bad things he can about himself. Well, then the other guy's got nothing to say. So he wins. So, that's a good, if someone tries to say something about you, go along with it, make an even bigger joke, well then put the wind out of their sails, they'll know where to go. That's also could be used audience scenario as well.
So in that case, and let's see if we can get some jokes out of ourselves. Some of the quick fire jokes. Do you reckon you can tell me some quick fire jokes, just like that? It could be simple ones, or it doesn't have to be a long story joke.
Well, you just like generic jokes.
Yeah, generic jokes, just to see what people go and do in there in the comment section. Let us know in the comment section what you think of these jokes. So,
Okay, I'm going to start with a friend of mine's joke. It's not a generic joke, but it's not known to maybe a few hundred people seen him perform. Mangoes in a bar. Handel says, "Whose are these mangoes?" I like that, and the reason why that's funny, in case you don't know, is because you think I'm talking about a man goes, which is a standard setup for a joke, and then there's a twist. What's that actually working is that information is rushing through your brain, and then all of a sudden it changes. And apparently, that's what makes you laugh because it went in a direction he wasn't expecting.
Yes. And for people that one thing I never get is even if you tell it's the grenade joke. I love a good grenade joke where you say a joke and then it takes a while for people to go, "Oh yeah, now I get it." Or then is the worst where people go, "I don't get it." Even if you said the joke 100 times, they still don't get it. It's one of those. It's not funny if you have to explain it type of things.
No, it never is funny if you have to explain it. Before I started doing it to bigger audiences, I liked it when only person. I told 6 people a joke and only one person got it, and for some reason that made me happier. But commercially, that's not good. You want everyone to get your joke. Yeah, explaining jokes. If that person doesn't find it funny, explaining it, not making it funny. Right, your turn.
My turn.
Fire joke.
If anything, it's one of my favorite jokes I heard when I was in America. It's quite a naughty one, but hey, it's not that risky. What did Cinderella say when she got to the ball?
You told me this one before.
Yeah, that one's a classic.
Yeah.
And I don't need to explain that to you guys. Do you
No,
turn equals 4, yeah.
Hopefully no one will have to explain it to somebody else.
Yes. although I do know a couple of 13 and 14-year-olds that probably watch my videos. Don't ask your mum, okay?
Yeah.
Trust me, she knows.
You're going to get some cold then. I suppose it would be the oldest joke. No, they're from Mary Poppins. My dog's got no nose. How does he smell? Awful. I like those kind of things, and also the old sort of working man's club style joke. Like, please take my wife. Just things like that. I mean, obviously comedy has moved on a lot since then, but just those very simple jokes that maybe play around with words. I always like them. I like puns as well.
Oh, in that case, I got a pun for you. It's kind of like a pun. So, what did a Mexican fireman call his 2 sons?
Oh, I know this one.
Jose and Jose.
Let's do that. I remember how old I was when I said that joke. That must be old. There's some really old jokes I know from older people that I've worked with. And they're not like jokes really, but he would always walk on. I mean, it was funny the first time or 10 times. After working with him for a couple of years, he did the same 3 jokes over again. A bit of a like, oh, God, not again.
Just like when I see you, when I'm carrying a basket of jokes around, it's the same old reaction.
What else are we going to say? Nice basket. Yeah, so he would just all of a sudden say, like, oh, they're a right couple of pigs, isn't they? And people would say, who? Pinky and Perky, which are very old pig puppets from a show that was on before I was born.
Probably even before any of you were born.
Yeah, for sure. What was there was? Oh, is a dark horse, and they say, "Oh, Black Dooney." There was all these silly little things, but I mean, they are really old.
It's a simple one to third that do the trick. For example, it's the oldest one in the book ever since a certain program's been around. Where you go, knock knock,
It's,
doctor.
Doctor Who.
You just said it.
Ah,
See, it's a classic, simple but effective.
it is. Yeah. Unfortunately, everyone knows it. But you can't
And
really
yet
get
they
away
fall
with
for it every time.
Yeah.
Although I never understood a knock knock joke because you don't actually do that in real life. When you hear someone knocking on your door, you don't actually go, "Who's there?"
No, you don't generally answer the door,
Yes, you
or
go,
look through that little hole, or probably look on your phone now. I would imagine
"Oh
through the
yes,
camera.
oh yeah," looking up on.
But yeah, well, that's if you look at most jokes, though, they don't stand scrutiny under a microscope because you have to have some artistic license. If you actually sat and thought about every joke you'd ever heard, putting them all apart, they don't really make sense, but they make just enough sense to get away with it.
Mhm.
Puns are dangerous.
There you are.
Yeah, I got into a pun circle one. Where it was just friends and I drinking, and we all started making puns. And then no one was talking because they was all trying to think what they were going to say next. They involved puns. But at the same time, none of us could stop making puns as well. It was
So
like stuck in a vortex of bad.
yes,
So we was having fun.
you could
Entertaining
say
each
it was
other.
a very punny time.
It was very funny. Yeah.
And that's when
Yeah.
hey Daniel, future Daniel, you can put in the cricket sound after that joke.
Yeah, or the old tumbleweed flying through the town. Or the classic, I was in a position where I could do this once, was the old drum hit.
Oh yes, didn't.
Well, one day where I was performing, they had a drum kit on stage. Of course, I added a quick cheesy joke to my set, and I did that. I timed it so I walked over to the drum kit just in time to get it.
Yes.
And then it just, from telling a stupid joke, I got a laugh out of it. I did that little extra. That's the classic noise, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't even say anyone. I think I've heard what it's actually called, but I can't remember. What's it? There's a specific name for that. But sound. I can't really remember.
I don't know. I know what the name of the drum is, symbol, but
But there's a specific. No, I'll have to look it up.
and that must have started somewhere. I imagine an old comedy club after each punchline, the drummer would give it a. And now it's kind of sort of a way of saying, "Oh, that's a bit of a cheesy joke."
Yes. More cheesy than a slice of brie.
Bag of what?
Yes.
Anything else?
Although, I mean, if I could tell a joke, in front of a woman, and it's a very cheesy joke, it'll be, "Hey, you and I were meant to breed."
Yeah.
Oh, and those lovely-dovey ones just are some of the most cringiest pickup lines you can ever think of. I can rearrange the alphabet, I'll put you and I together.
Yeah, I don't think any of those. Well, they might have worked because
Someone must have came up
the
with them.
girl thing started. He doesn't take himself seriously. Maybe he's a nice guy, but yeah. Yeah, I suppose child lines are kind of jokes in themselves, aren't
Yeah, I am. And
they? I've never used one.
me neither. I don't need to. Look at them.
Yeah. Yeah, you mentioned Big Bang Theory
Yes.
earlier. I watched, I think, all of them. I'm not sure. There's some of me. like a lot of things, start in the beginning series is better than the later series because obviously the writers run out of ideas or
Yes.
they have crazy ideas.
Oh
People
yes.
start doing things that they would never really do. That was good, particularly Sheldon. The actor, I think, is a very good character actor.
Yes.
I'd like to see him in a more serious role. Maybe some.
I think he
Maybe
has
it's like
done a
a
couple of serious
maybe
roles.
a psychopath.
I think he would.
Yeah. And also, I can't remember his name now, the Jewish one, Howard.
Yes.
I remember the actor's name. He's very funny, just naturally funny guy.
Yes. Especially when he can do those impersonations.
Yeah.
I mean, myself, I love a good impressionist. That's another form of comedy itself, is impersonating another person. Whether it be someone famous or just us British, we always do that mimic voice. Like, I was talking to somebody online. You, it's Jack. Shout out to you, buddy. And you did this the other day. And the American guy was like, "What the heck is this?" And I did the exact same thing, where I was mimicking somebody else. Whether I'm mimicking you, someone else from work, or we always use that "oh my god" type of high pitched voice for some reason. We always use something similar to that
Yeah.
for some reason.
Like whatever the person's voice is like, they have a slightly annoying tone.
Yeah, it's like a nagging tone.
Yeah. David Mitchell.
Yeah, it's weird how we do that as humans, or as Brits at least. Don't know if anyone else does some sarcastic one. Let me know. It's one of those things. It's just there.
Yeah, I think, I mean, to a certain extent, I suppose every nationality does it, but we very much like to take the mickey out of each other.
Oh yes.
That's it's quite an English thing to do.
Oh yes, especially we always do the stereotypical, Scotsman and Englishman and Irishman walks in the bar, the barman says, "Hey, what's this? Some type of joke?"
Yeah.
That type of. We always put three. It's always three specific type of people from the UK in. It's always into a bar, and it's always a punchline after that. Or if it's a bar or somewhere else. Those are some of the funniest British jokes that a lot of us kind of use.
Yeah, there's that nice sort of rivalry between the English and the Scottish. Well, the Welsh to a certain extent, I suppose, and the Irish. But yeah, it's good to take the mick out of each other. And I think as children, we learn sort of how you can take the mickey out of someone without being mean.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to upset your friends. You just want to have a good time. So making jokes, and then as soon as you step over that line, see instantly on that person's face that wasn't that funny.
And you apologise.
Yeah, but you learn, where people's boundaries are. But if you don't make jokes like that, then how do you know?
It's like it's basically a stereotype, isn't it? A lot of the time, it's more of a not being racist. It's more of a stereotype, as I always put it. Racism is only to me when you're being mean about race and not being a stereotype. Like you can, for example, a lot of Americans use a stereotype towards English people and how we don't look after our teeth, or we always do tea and crumpets. It's a stereotype where
Yeah,
everyone would probably have a bit of fun with.
yeah. Well, less and less you're allowed to do that. Obviously, stereotypes they come from somewhere. So there is every stereotype you can think of for every type of person or race or whatever. There are people that like that. Otherwise, the stereotype would never be born. But yeah, you're not supposed to stereotype nowadays.
No, obviously, that's because it's too politically incorrect. But when people do the odd stereotype joke, it is one of those chuckle type of jokes where people know that you're only joking around and stuff.
Yeah, but you can stereotype anyone. Stereotype a chef, what a typical waiter is like. I mean, we all have, as chefs, we all have certain characteristics that are the same because that's why we're chefs. And then you could take any group of people that work together. There's going to be a certain stereotype postman or I don't know, engineers or whatever, because those different jobs for a certain thing in that person. But just because stereotype makes it bad,
No,
to say it's your intent behind what you're saying. If you intend to hurt someone's feelings, well then that's not good. If you accidentally did it, then they apologise, learn from that, and move on.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, I totally 100% agree.
Cannot second guess what is going to offend someone. I can say something that I'll pretty much guarantee is going to offend someone, but unless you're doing that on purpose, how could you possibly know what's going to offend someone?
No, you'll never know. That's the thing.
Then there should be, oh, that offended me. Oh, I'm sorry, that was not my intent. That should be the end of it. Grown up.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's always going to be that tension between two people, but that's pretty much life now, isn't it? It's just there's joke whether you. A lot of the time, most people know that you're joking, or it used to follow up in where most people say, "Hey, do you want to hear a joke?" Or you might just instantly tell one. Or some people laugh, some people don't. Some people do the whole roll of their eyes or the classical sigh where it's so bad. And quite frankly, my favourite type of jokes for me, and I say them all the time. You hear me say them all the time. Is the dad jokes. I love a good dad joke.
Yeah, I realised 10, 15 years ago, you don't have to be a dad to make dad jokes. But they just come out your mouth without you realising. It's because they're probably like simple and obvious. That's why they're dad jokes.
Yes, it's quick, easy, like.
Yeah.
Trust me. Scott knows this. I say dad jokes around everybody, whenever I can. Like whether it be innuendo time dad jokes or just plain old silly little ones that just make him go. Jay Gilby, he always comes up with he says, oh, yeah, "I've heard better from you, Daniel. I've heard better. I've heard, I just." I like to make people laugh in every day. I don't take my life too seriously. I like to make people laugh, whether they're having a bad day or a good day. I like to, make I don't necessarily, they could get, bad news about, losing somebody. And I will, no matter what, I will make a joke. Even, I maybe not as soon as possible, like maybe a few weeks or months down the line. And as I always, I will make a joke about my own personal family, including, which I'm going to say now, my granddad. God rest his soul. And my aunt at the time when he was getting buried was like, "Oh, maybe we should bury him with a pack of cigarettes in his side." And when that was the type of thing that killed him in the end. But it was her way of joking around because he was a smoker. So I would always make jokes with him. You know, he would give me some funny jokes himself. So in a way, I was even when I was on my way to my granddad's funeral, I was in that car following the hearse, and I was cracking jokes all the way there.
Humour is what gets you through things like that. It's very important to be able to laugh and laugh at yourself. Well. But yeah, of course, any time there's hardship, you've got to be able to need to release that pressure. But yeah, I mean, you could maybe time it bad and someone will get upset. In general, I think that people, as long as it's in good taste, enjoy a joke at time because they want to laugh when they're feeling so down. So be careful.
Yeah, definitely.
Depends how well you know the person, blah blah blah. But yeah, you've got to always make a joke whenever possible because life is very serious.
Especially during 2021.
Oh yeah, yeah. A lot of COVID jokes. You don't know many COVID jokes.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
There we go. That's the first COVID joke officially out now. Yeah, maybe it's too fresh. Give it a year. And then we'll see how many COVID jokes come out.
Oh, well.
But, I mean, there's jokes about every other disease in the world.
Yeah.
So I can't see why COVID can't have a joke.
Oh, no,
yeah,
definitely
I
not.
don't know. Yeah.
Well,
maybe we can.
You know what? I can maybe this time I can give it a shot.
The second COVID joke now. You're giving away too much.
Just another. Hang on a minute.
These are all puns, though.
Yes, these are all puns. Just another. Wait a minute. I need to work out my maths here. Just another 17 more. Then that would be about because we're at COVID-19.
Yeah. If you keep making jokes, maybe it'll go viral. Third COVID joke. You're welcome.
What do you think you are, The Rock?
Why does he say you're welcome?
Oh yes, that's Moana, isn't it? Yes. Maui.
A lot of people say that. I often say that. I say, "Oh, I did that for you. You're welcome." Before they even got a chance to say thank you. Or I do something that someone didn't ask.
Oh, there is.
I didn't realise I was talking.
I'm going to must say this. I think we're going to end this with two more jokes, one from each of us, and this time it could be a long distance joke.
Now off camera.
I know, that's the whole point. It's a long distance joke. But in all seriousness, are you guys ready for this one?
You start.
Okay.
I've got to think of a joke while you're.
Okay, so there's this guy that's walking down his street or the road. I didn't know where you're from. I'm going to say road at this point because that's where I live. And so he finds this magic lamp, and there's a note next to it that says, "Inside this lamp is a magical genie. This genie will grant you 3 wishes." Okay, so the man rubs the lamp, and out comes this genie, and the genie says, "I will grant you 3 wishes. However, your partner," I have to be politically correct here, but the actual proper joke is wife. So, your wife will get double. So the man thinks about it for a second, and he says, "You know what? I wish for a giant mansion and a Ferrari. Okay, but your wife gets double." So he gives him what he desires, the wife will get the double amount. So Genie says, "What's your next joke, sir?" And the guy says, "How about £1,000,000?" So the wife gets double, so he gives him the million, the wife gets 2,000,000. "Okay, one last wish," says the genie. "But remember, your wife gets double." The guy thinks about it for a second and says, "I wish to be beaten half to death."
But that guy needs a new wife.
I hope you guys got that. Let it sink in for a bit.
So
And we're back.
Teacher one day, teacher teaches children with special needs. Says to the children, "First person to can clap their hands together is going to win an ice cream." So all the kids are trying, and they're all missing the hands, and eventually one kid claps his hands, and the teacher says, "Hey, we've got a winner." Gives him the ice cream. Says, "Thanks very much, teacher." And sticks on his head. Probably under pressure, Daniel. It's the first one I can think of. Dave was good.
Very, very.
That's a
I
very
mean,
old.
he would, to be honest. But he has a completely different taste. And you know what? If I could get him here, or virtually, I think there's one taste that for my next podcast would be music. 'Cause I think we'll be able to talk about music, him and me.
Certainly would.
But,
Around there knows a lot about music. Has very varied taste.
Yes.
Like a human jukebox. Just don't know what's coming on next.
Oh yes.
It's
But
always good.
unfortunately, there'll be no singing here because of copyright reasons. Plus, you're really bad.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
But he does have my jingle. He's got a jingle for the 2 P's in the podcast.
Yeah. Coming sometime in 2022.
Well, anyway, Scott, thank you very much for being on 2 P's in the podcast. I really enjoyed this conversation. It has been going on for 52 minutes now.
Really?
Yeah, right there, see
No
it?
way. No, I thought it was about half an hour. That went really quick.
But yes, thank you very much for being with me today.
Thank you.
I am Danrvdtree20002, also known as Dan 2 times 15. And so goodbye from me.
Goodbye.
Thank you very much for watching this video. If you want to watch the previous video, click on the video on the left. But if you want to watch the playlist, then click on the video on the right. Also, feel free to click subscribe by clicking on the Master Chief icon on the top.